Have you ever given so much of yourself that he stops seeing your value? You love him deeply, you show up for him, you bend to keep the peace, and yet somehow, instead of treasuring you, he treats your presence like it's guaranteed. And in the quiet moments you wonder, what would it take for him to realize that I won't always be here? What would it take for him to feel the fear of losing me, the way I constantly fear losing him? Because here's the truth, men rarely wake up until they sense the possibility of absence. They don't always see your worth when you're standing right in front of them. But the second they realize they could lose you, everything changes. The question is, how do you make him feel that urgency without begging, without pleading, without lowering your dignity? What are the subtle ways that awaken his deepest fear of losing you? You know that quiet ache that sits in your chest when you realize he doesn't see your love the way you hoped he would. You give him your time, your loyalty, your tenderness. You bend yourself in ways you never thought you would, trying to make things easier for him, trying to show him that you're not like anyone else he's ever had. And yet, instead of holding on to you tighter, he seems to loosen his grip, as if your presence is a guarantee. It's a cruel kind of pain, being treated like you'll never leave, when inside, part of you is screaming, "Why can't you see that I could? Why can't you see that I won't wait forever?" You know the routine too well. He cancels plans at the last minute, assuming you'll just understand. He takes hours, sometimes days, to reply to your messages, and when he finally does, you drop everything just to answer. He knows you'll forgive, because you always do, and in those moments the sting runs deep, not just because he's careless, but because you realize he doesn't carry the same fear you carry, the fear of losing him. And that's what hurts the most, because when you're not with him, your mind drifts to him constantly. You wonder what he's doing, if he's thinking about you, if he's even noticing your absence. But when he's not with you, you're not so sure the thought even crosses his mind. That imbalance makes your heart heavy. It makes you feel like you're holding the weight of the relationship in your hands, while his are free. There are times when you sit quietly in a room with him, laughing together, sharing stories, and yet deep inside you wonder, if I walked away tomorrow, would you even fight for me? Would you even realize what you had until it was gone? And the terrifying answer that whispers back is one you don't want to face. It gets lonelier in the silence. On those nights when he seems distant, when you reach for him and he doesn't reach back with the same urgency, you feel invisible. You wonder if he even knows how lucky he is, and you replay the effort you've given, the late nights, the support, the patience, the forgiveness, and ask yourself, why isn't it enough to make him fear losing me? What makes it worse is watching him take it all so lightly. He assumes you'll always be there, like the air he breathes. And maybe that's what cuts the deepest, that your love has become so steady, so constant, that he doesn't stop to imagine what life would feel like if it disappeared. And yet, in your own quiet way, you imagine it all the time. You imagine the day you finally stop waiting for him to notice, the day you stop forgiving the carelessness, the day you finally choose yourself. But then the fear comes back, the fear that if you let go, he won't chase you, that maybe he'll just let you walk away. And that thought alone is enough to break your heart. Because deep down, all you want is for him to feel what you feel, that urgency, that fear, that raw awareness that losing you would be the biggest mistake of his life. All you want is to see it in his eyes, the realization that women like you don't come twice. And until that moment comes, you carry the weight of the question, what will it take for him to finally realize my worth before it's too late? So why does this happen? Why do so many women end up in relationships where their love feels like it's taken for granted, where their presence is assumed but not cherished, where their absence doesn't seem to stir the fear they secretly long to see? The answer isn't as simple as he doesn't care. In fact, sometimes it's the exact opposite. A man might care about you deeply, but the way men and women experience love, especially in absence, often looks completely different. For women, love tends to seep into every part of life. It's in the way you pick out a dress and think, would he like this color? It's in how you hear a song and instantly connect it to him. It's in the way your mind circles back to him during even the busiest moments. Love for you is interwoven into everything, even when he's not around. But men often move differently. They can love deeply and still compartmentalize. When he's at work, he's at work. When he's out with friends, he's in that moment. His feelings for you may not vanish, but they aren't constantly flooding his thoughts the way yours might. To you, absence feels loud. To him, it can feel quiet, not because you don't matter, but because he trusts you'll be there. And that's where the sting comes in. Because here's the hidden piece. Men don't usually feel urgency about what they believe is secure. When he thinks you'll always answer, always forgive, always show up, no matter how casually he treats you, his mind relaxes. He doesn't imagine losing you because he's never felt the possibility. And while your heart aches with the thought of losing him, his mind rests in the comfort that he has you. That difference creates the imbalance that leaves you feeling unseen. And the truth is, women are often taught to love in a way that erases themselves. From movies, from stories, from the examples they grow up watching, they absorb this quiet message. If you love enough, sacrifice enough, forgive enough, a man will recognize your worth and hold on to you forever. But that's not how it works. Overgiving doesn't always create devotion. Sometimes it creates complacency. Instead of making him fear losing you, it convinces him that he never could. That's the heartbreaking cycle so many women fall into. The more they love, the less he worries. The more they show up, the less he realizes the cost of losing them. And before long, you find yourself in this silent agony, loving him with everything you have, while he moves through the relationship without that same fire of fear that keeps you awake at night. But here's what's so important to remember. This isn't about you not being enough. It's not about you being less lovable, less valuable, or less worthy. It's about perspective. Men often don't wake up to what they have until they feel the risk of losing it. It's unfair, it's frustrating, and it makes you question your own worth. But the truth is, his blindness to your value doesn't mean it's not there. It means you've been giving it so freely that he forgot it's a gift. And maybe that's the part that hurts the most. That your love, the very thing that should inspire his devotion, has become so constant that he no longer imagines life without it. He doesn't stop to think what the silence would feel like without your voice, what the nights would feel like without your touch, what his days would look like without you woven through them. But that's also where the power lies, because the moment he does feel that possibility, the moment he senses that your love is not guaranteed, everything shifts. Suddenly, the fear of losing you takes root, and he sees you in a way he hadn't before. And here's the part most women never realize. When you're stuck in that painful space where he seems too comfortable, where your love feels like it's being taken for granted, the most powerful thing you can do isn't to beg or demand, it's to shift the way you carry yourself so that he begins to feel what you've been feeling all along, the fear of losing something irreplaceable. And the beautiful part is, you can do this without lowering yourself, without games, and without losing your dignity. It starts with quiet but powerful choices that remind both him and you of your worth. The first step is learning to create a little distance without anger. Emotionally, this means you stop being endlessly available, because constant availability often teaches a man to take your presence for granted. Practically, this looks like choosing not to answer every call the second it comes in, or not rearranging your entire schedule just because he suddenly decides he wants to see you. Imagine this. He cancels plans last minute and expects you to reschedule right away. Instead of rushing to fit him in, you calmly say, "That doesn't work for me, let's plan another time." No drama, no bitterness, just quiet self-respect. That moment makes him feel the possibility that your world doesn't stop for him, and that realization plants a seed of fear that you could actually walk away if he continues to treat you carelessly. The second step is pouring energy back into your own life. When your joy, hobbies, and fulfillment revolve only around him, he begins to sense that your happiness depends entirely on what he does or doesn't give. That makes your presence feel too secure. Emotionally, this means reconnecting with the parts of you that existed before him. The passions, friendships, and dreams that make you glow. Practically, it might look like signing up for that class you've always wanted to take, spending more time with friends, or simply having nights where you enjoy your own company instead of waiting on his plans. Picture this. It's a Saturday night, and instead of sitting home scrolling and waiting for his text, you're out laughing with friends. When he messages late asking what you're up to, you get to respond honestly. Just got back from a great night out. That simple shift makes him realize that your world is vibrant and full, with or without him, and suddenly the thought of not being part of that world starts to bother him. The third step is using your voice with calm strength. So many women swallow their feelings because they're afraid of pushing him away, but silence only makes you feel invisible, and invisibility is where fear of losing you never grows. Emotionally, this means allowing yourself to express what matters, not as a plea, but as a statement of truth. Practically, it sounds like, I need consistency. If I don't feel it, I'll step back. Imagine this scenario. He's been distant all week, and when he finally reaches out, you don't just accept it like nothing happened. Instead, you calmly say, it doesn't work for me when you disappear. If this matters to you, I need more effort. That kind of honesty, spoken without anger, jolts him awake. It reminds him that your love isn't endless, no matter how he behaves. It has limits, and those limits come from self-respect. The fourth step is letting go of the outcome. This is the hardest one, but it's also the one that makes you magnetic. Emotionally, it means no longer living in fear of whether he'll stay or go. Instead, you trust that you will be okay no matter what happens. Practically, this could look like refusing to chase after him when he pulls away, or deciding that if he doesn't meet your needs, you won't beg, you'll simply step back. Imagine this. He takes you for granted, and instead of fighting for scraps of attention, you quietly shift your energy elsewhere. You focus on yourself, your growth, your happiness. That choice creates a powerful effect. Because when a man senses that you won't cling, he begins to feel the very thing you've longed for him to feel, the fear of losing you. Each of these steps is not about punishing him. They're about elevating you. They're about standing in a place where your love is given freely, but not endlessly without return. They're about showing him that you are not replaceable, that your presence is a privilege, and that if he wants to keep it, he has to rise to the level of the woman you've become. And the truth is, when you live this way, you don't just trigger his fear of losing you. You remind yourself that you were never meant to live in fear of being lost. You were always meant to be valued, cherished, and chosen with certainty. There comes a moment in every woman's journey where the ache of being taken for granted begins to give way to something stronger. You've spent enough nights questioning yourself, enough mornings hoping for effort that never came, enough days wondering if he'd even notice if you weren't there. And yet, despite it all, you're still here, you're still capable of love, you're still standing with a heart that, even when bruised, continues to beat with hope. That is not weakness, that is strength. You see, the very fact that you've felt the sting of being overlooked means you have a depth inside you that most people will never understand. You love deeply, you show up fully, and you care in ways that are rare in this world. And sometimes, when you give that kind of love, it can make you doubt your worth if it isn't matched. But the truth is, the problem was never your love, The problem was that you gave it to someone who didn't realize how extraordinary it is. This is where everything begins to shift, because when you stop begging for recognition, when you stop measuring yourself by someone else's effort, and when you finally decide to honor your presence the way you've always wished he would, you reclaim your power. And the moment you reclaim your power, the world sees you differently. He sees you differently, but most importantly, you see yourself differently. Imagine the version of you who doesn't wander anymore, the version who doesn't sit awake at night replaying his silences, the version who knows without question that her absence would be felt because her presence is unforgettable. That version of you doesn't chase, she doesn't beg, she doesn't lower her voice to keep the peace. She stands tall, speaks clearly, and loves herself enough to know that anyone who risks losing her is risking everything. And here's the part that should fill you with hope. The right man, the one who is truly meant to walk beside you, won't need to lose you to recognize your worth. He will see it in your laughter, in your strength, in your kindness. He will feel it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you respect your own boundaries, in the way you glow when you're living fully. And when he feels it, he won't just fear losing you, he'll do everything in his power to keep you close. Until that day comes, let yourself feel proud. Proud that you've endured the ache and still have the courage to love. Proud that you've survived the silence and still have the voice to speak. Proud that you've carried doubts but never let them fully define you. Because the truth is, you are already the kind of woman who cannot be replaced. Your love is not ordinary, your presence is not small, and your worth is not dependent on anyone else finally seeing it. So hold your head high, breathe deeply, walk into tomorrow with the certainty that you are not a woman who fades quietly into the background. You are a woman who leaves an imprint, and whether or not he realizes it, you are unforgettable. When you start to doubt, repeat this truth to yourself. You are not here to prove your value, you are here to live it. You are not here to beg for love. You are here to embody it. You are not here to fear being lost. You are here to be cherished, chosen, and celebrated. And if you take nothing else from this, take these words with you. You were never meant to beg for love. You were meant to be the reason someone believes in it. The right man won't wait until you're gone to feel your worth. He'll fight for it while you're here. Your presence is the gift. Your absence is the lesson. Never forget that.